In today's video, I wanted to show the process of creating the book cover for The Scars We Ink in Gold, which is a book project that I'm working on with my friend Fizza. So the first step was idea generation, and after meeting with my project partner, I decided to take on the more polished ideas that we had and take it on to OneNote. And some of them I scratched out, kind of saying, yeah, I don't think it would look good in my style. And then I took those ideas and turned into some thumbnail sketches. I normally just use OneNote. I know there are some, um, Photoshop alternatives or better softwares for digital art out there, but this was just meant to get the ideas down and get like a basic composition so that I could run it through my friend and see which one we preferred before I made the final sketch. After a lot of deliberation with my friend, struggling to choose which one we thought would look best as a cover, we ended up choosing the one where there were origami butterflies in between the hands. Given the title of the book, we of course wanted to do something related to gold, and so the strings are meant to be in that, yellow gold tone. And I had to just Google how to draw origami butterflies because this sketch was going to serve as the basis of the finished result. And so I wanted the sketch to be as nice as possible so that I didn't really have to worry about, changing things as I was inking. Even then, though, the lines are quite sketchy and it still looks rough, mainly because, again, I'm just going to use this as a foundation for my inking stage. And then I ended up Googling tile design and even Googling, origami butterflies just to be able to capture what they looked like. I struggled quite a bit with the tiles. At first, I tried to freehand them, saw how that just didn't work out. So I used the symmetry tool, which is one of the reasons why I'm starting to really enjoy digital, or at least digital sketching. It's just so much easier to use some of the tools like symmetry or the ruler or just copy pasting things or adding layers and duplicating layers so that I don't really have to worry so much about, let's say I liked the way the hand turned out, but it had to be a little bit to the right. I could just select it and move it to the right. I used quite a bit of reference photos for the tile designs because, like I said, when I was freehanding it, it just didn't look as good. And when I tell people, well, I used to tell people that I would be designing the cover of the book, the first thing I would hear is, no pressure, it's only the first thing people will see. And so that pressure definitely, I felt that pressure. And so I wanted to do my best in this cover, and I wanted to make sure that if I saw this cover, it would be something that I would pick up. Then I went on to the inking stage, although I'm keeping this side a little bit shorter because I ended up not really using this, and you'll see why. But what I pretty much did is I printed the sketch and I transferred it to my watercolor paper using red carbon paper, and I began inking. And at this point, this is the fourth time drawing this because the first one would be the thumbnail, the second one would be sketching, the third one would be when I'm transferring it, and the fourth one is inking it. And surprise, it's actually not the last one. I went about this drawing for 5 times, I think. But I'm happy with the way that this piece turned out. And the reason why I wanted to go traditional at first was because it's my comfort zone. Having that much pressure in creating something that's going to be the first thing that people see, I just felt the need to make sure that the result was something that I myself and my project partner and everybody who is going to be reading our book would enjoy. So I tried to play it safe, I went traditional. I began inking. I was going to do watercolors, which is just like it's my comfort zone. I didn't think that this was the right time to experiment or try something new. I'm just very happy with the positive response to the finished book cover. Um, Again, it's just when I told people that I would be working on the book cover, I usually heard, it's the first thing people see. And even though we say things like don't judge a book by its cover, that's what we do. We are human. And so I definitely wanted to do something that would fit the book, but also make sure that it was something that would encourage others to check out what our book is about. Then I moved on to color combinations, and I kind of wish that I tried to do the color combination before the inking, mainly because I ended up not using the ink. Well, I used it later for the line art, but yeah. So the purpose of the color composition is just to lay down colors. It doesn't really have to be inside the lines. It's just to see what I think could work and to see which colors I should place where. I went into this not having a lot of ideas in terms of colors, but it was a good art day, surprisingly, where a lot of my decisions just stuck. For instance, normally I would do so many other variations, right? I would change the color of the sleeve of the hand. I would see what other things, colors I could change. But I went with like a creamish color first for the arm. Was like, no, that doesn't work. Immediately went with gray, and I was like, yeah, this works. The hand, I just straight up went with blue. Again, it just worked. Went with this like red pink color for the butterflies, and again, it worked. And I felt very happy about this because, again, normally it takes a lot of trial and error sometimes. For a lot of the things that I'm doing in this video, in terms of digital at least, I'm sure there is a more convenient and efficient way of doing it. It's just that I only use digital, or at least before this, for sketches to be printed to help me with my traditional art. So I still have a lot to learn, but I felt like this was such a good opportunity to figure out quite a few things and how to make a finished piece. I just really enjoyed the convenience of being able to copy paste things and duplicate layers because the butterflies were something that kind of reappears like multiple times. And so to just copy paste them was very nice. And then I just played around trying to see which color background I liked. At first, I thought maybe I could do gray, but it looked a little bit off. And when I landed on this blue color, I immediately went for it. I really liked how it turned out, but it felt too flat, so I decided to add this misty look at the back. And then I added the font, but the font there, like the text, is just meant to be a placeholder, so that's definitely not going to be how the final book cover text looks like. Normally at this stage, I would have gone to watercolors and just painted the ink in watercolors. But after showing the results to my family members and having received the feedback that that should just be the cover of the book, I decided, sure, that can be the cover of the book, but it does need fixing. The sketch lines were definitely very rough and the color just wasn't even within the lines. So I just used the inked piece as a background for the line art, which really helped me quite a bit and made me feel more comfortable doing line art in digital. I also added these like little shading lines that's kind of similar to how I would do shading traditionally. Then I had to do the details. What I really liked about doing the line art was that after doing, one side, I could just copy paste and I would immediately have another hand on the opposite side. As the line art plays in the background, I wanted to talk a little bit about the cover and its relation to the content of the book. Of course, I don't want to spoil too much, but our book definitely does talk quite a bit about pain and um, life in general. And so we kind of wanted to depict that, but in a more subtle but also hopeful way. My project partner and I already, can find meanings in this cover, but we don't want to necessarily reveal it too much because one of the reasons why I love to create so much is to encourage discussion and to um, leave things vague on purpose so that whoever looks at my piece can see something different as it applies to them. In terms of the line art, I really liked adding these little cracks. I think it was one of my favorite parts in addition to adding depth by increasing the line weight. I'm sure there's a better brush probably suited for it, but I'm using the app sketchbook and I don't know how a lot of the things work. So I just used a regular round brush and manually added that depth. After the line art was done and after I had drawn the same thing for the fifth time, I went in to do a proper coloring. And it really helped to have the color composition digitally because then I could just select the color with the eyedrop tool and just fill in the spaces. Not quite sure if the butterfly looks like origami butterflies, but I think the idea in itself is quite interesting because butterflies usually represent growth, new life, and to be represented in such a fragile manner, like paper, it tears easily, it crumbles easily. I think it was very interesting. Fiza actually had no idea about the little details in the arm. The only thing she had seen was the thumbnail sketches. She hadn't truly seen how the final would look like. And when we had our meeting, when the cover was done, we both felt very emotional. We had been working on this project for the past like 2 years, I want to say, and it really felt like we were getting to a place where we were having something tangible and it was almost coming to an end. Like we needed a moment to just take it all in because it just felt so unreal. And I don't know if you would like to support this project, you can sign up to our mailing list. Um, they get to watch this video 1 week in advance. They also get some additional content here and there. It's definitely not spammy, so there's no worry in terms of that. And as I'm watching this video, I'm just really happy that the colors that I have chosen just worked because this doesn't always happen. And it just, I don't know, I feel happy. And of course, I had to reduce, hours of footage into 15, 16 minutes to reduce it to a manageable video length. But there was definitely a lot of erasing and redrawing, erasing and redrawing. But honestly, I I had fun. I really had fun creating this cover and making a fully finished digital piece. I'm so glad that I didn't stay within my comfort zone and just go straight with watercolors. I'm so glad that I decided to stick to digital, even though maybe I wasn't as comfortable with it as I would be with a traditional medium. And I also finished the back cover, which I'm not going to be showing in this video, but with the back cover, it just, everything feels so finished and it feels so real, but unreal at the same time. It's a weird feeling, honestly. I feel that the cover genuinely captures the themes of the book and even maybe a few of the imagery used in the book quite well. So I hope that you in the future get the opportunity to maybe check out our book once pre-orders are available. I'll definitely make a video announcing that. And just take a look at all the other pieces and the poems in the book because This book is very special to Fiza and I, and we really appreciate that the support we have received so far and the positive response that we have been getting. That being said, I am kind of nearing the end of the video as I'm just adding little finishing touches to the gold strings inspired by the games we would play as children. But anywho, here is the final result. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon.